All right, welcome on in everyone to this episode of First CSP, the channel dedicated to bring you the first council shoulder patch issued from each council in Scouting America, both past and present. Today we take a look at Nashua Valley Council 230 out of Massachusetts. Council was formed in 1965 as the merger of Fitchenburg Area 231 and Wachusett 237. Existed all the way up until 2018 when it merged with Mohegan to form Heart of New England Council. Now, Nashua Valley is a great example of what we attempt to do on the channel here. Not only will we be presenting the very first issue, but the first issue itself had 3 variants. We do have all 3 of those variants to show you, and then another related patch where it has the same type of imagery, but it's slightly different in a later issue. We have the S3 that we'll be able to take a look at as well. So let's head on over to the patch table and take a look at the first issue. So the first issue for Nashua Valley is defined with a red border, light blue sky, a 14 millimeter fleur-de-lis that is light yellow. The name is obviously in red. Listed as 196 of these were made. The closest variation to the S1A is the S1B, and we will take a look at that one next. Here's the S1A. It does happen to have a plastic back. I'm guessing the scenery here with the mountains is showing Nashua Valley. I'm not familiar with the topography of Massachusetts to know if that's actually a valley that's labeled or just a historic name, but that is the S1A. Subsequent to that, we then have the S1B, looking very, very similar. Also with a red border, light blue sky, another 14 millimeter fleur-de-lis. This time the fleur-de-lis is in gold. It is listed in the collecting guide that this S1B was actually issued all the way after the S4 patch for Nashua Valley. So it's interesting that they decided to label this as the S1B, even though it was issued, I guess, much later in its history. But it is a variation on the first issue. This one, again, also S1B, plastic back. We're going to move this down so we can put these up head to head. Here is the A versus B, so you can see the difference. My patch table overlook. So you can see the difference in color is primarily going to show you whether you're dealing with the light yellow fleur-de-lis. They are both listed as 14 millimeters, or the gold fleur-de-lis, which is the S1B. This is the most closely related patch that you could confuse for the first issue is the S1B. So we've got S1A here up at the top with the light yellow fleur-de-lis, and the gold fleur-de-lis is the S1B. They follow that up with the third variant, the S1C. The S1C is slightly smaller. You can see that the border style sewing is going to be a little bit different, but in general, it is the same image. So we have the red border, light blue sky. The fleur-de-lis, if measured, is going to be slightly smaller. This is also just listed as yellow. So kind of in between the light yellow S1A and the gold S1B is the yellow S1C. Name also here in red. Taking a look at the back. And we can put this one also up head to head versus the original. So here's the S1A, and we can see the light yellow fleur-de-lis versus the yellow fleur-de-lis. You can see that this fleur-de-lis does look a little smaller, and the patch overall is slightly smaller than the original S1A. And then if we were to compare that with the gold, you can see the gold is a little bit darker. It does also look as though the blue background in the S1C is is a bit lighter. The blue background that is in the S1A and the S1B are pretty well matched. This does look to be noticeably lighter. But to me, also, this border style with the stitching does kind of stand out, as the border wrap looks a bit different from the S1A and B, so that kind of stands out as well. So that is the S1A, B, and C for Nashua Valley. The S2 comes next, and it takes that same image, and now the name Massachusetts would be in light yellow. We don't happen to have that one as part of our collection, but we then do have the S3. So the S3 takes, again, the same image, red border, light blue sky, but now we're going to have a light gray fleur-de-lis and the name Massachusetts also light gray. So that is the S3. Not one that you would confuse for the first issue, but again, where we have related issues that are showing you the same imagery, where we have them in the collection, we like to present those as well, so you can see kind of a bit of history from that council. We'll put back up to finish the light yellow S1A, and then the S3 there at the bottom. And really nice, kind of clean mountain scene on these patches. I do kind of like their simplicity. Be interested to know more about the history of the brands that are listed. I don't know if those are famous brands from the area in Massachusetts, or if they were actually used on livestock. But if you know, by all means, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear more about the history with that. Other than that, we'll be back again tomorrow with another new episode. I want to say thank you so much to everybody that's been coming back every single day to watch new episodes. We really appreciate the community that's developed with the channel. Appreciate your views and your support. With that, we'll be back again tomorrow, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.